Rise is an album that, on a musical level, is an attempt to incorporate everything that represents where I've come from, but also is a record that stands up in the 90s as being a record that is very focused and current, and takes in influences of the cutting edge of what's going on in our musical generation right now. And to do that record, I sort of demoed the album quite extensively. I made a set of acoustic demos that were really focused on the strength of the songwriting and the lyric and the chord changes. And then I re-demoed them again with the band, with the group who I recorded with. And that's when we structured the electric arrangements around the album. So when I went in to actually record the album in the Doghouse in Henley, which is situated on the River Thames, we all knew exactly what we were going to do. I was the producer of the record as well as the artist, so I wanted everyone around me, the whole team, to be really clued in as to what the aims of the record were to do. So they were very specific, and we cut the album very quickly. It actually only took 12 days to record, but I spent a good couple of weeks mixing the record, because during the recording process there was a lot of things going on, because I also brought in this techno outfit who are creating some waves in the UK. They're called Sentient, and I set them up in the B studio in the second room, and their job was to create a mirror image of the record using absolute 90s influences, and using found sounds, samples, computer it, generate it, mess it around with it, do whatever they liked with it. And they were given complete open book, carte blanche, to do whatever they saw fit. And we'd have these meetings in the morning where we would get together and exchange ideas. They would come into the live room where I had the band, and the whole album recording session was going on, and I'd let them have access to like the backing tracks, and they would take sections of the drum tracks, take guitar riffs, snatches of vocals, and then they'd feed them into their computer and head off into their little dark room, Studio 2, and then they'd set about creating another vibe, a completely different opposite of the track. And so then I would have access to their computer and pull out little sections of their tracks and sort of feed them into the live rock music that I was creating in Studio One. And I suppose probably the perfect example of that on the record would be White Noise, where it actually starts with all the sounds they created, and then after about a minute of this whole sort of whitewash of sound, then the band kicks in, and it's a real audio attack of guitars, bass and drums, and the voice of Mike Peters. The Alarm came to a closure in 1991, and since then I've set about rebuilding my musical life and career, and it's had lots of twists and turns along the way. But the constant factor I've tried to do throughout it all is stay in communication with the fans. And I've played a lot of shows in America and put records out over the internet, and created a whole internet site which you can find the address of is included on the record sleeve. And I've also opened phone lines so that people can contact directly with my whole setup in Wales and speak to friends and family who answer the phone. And we also have an event called The Gathering, which we've held in North Wales, in my hometown, which has encouraged people to come from all over the world. We've had hundreds of people from America and from South America, all over Europe and Australia and Japan. And it's a real meeting place and a celebration of not only what I've done as an individual in the aftermath of the Alarm, but also it celebrates what the Alarm stood for as well, and is a great celebration of the songwriting that went into the Alarm and the spirit that band had. And because although we're not together, I still think the music lives on, and the music has a life of its own and is continually evolving, and people are rediscovering it all the time. And slowly but surely, I've seen people coming back into the fold. Every time I've played a gig, there's been a new fan or an old fan who's become revitalised and reinterested in the music, and they've come back to the fold. And so it's really grown from there. And now with Rise coming out with Vel Vel, I think this is really a record that people are going to hear about and see, and we can create a lot of exposure for this record and attract a lot of people back to the flame. The record has been out in Britain and has had incredible reviews, the best reviews I've ever had in my life, and hopefully we can continue that in America and receive the same kind of exposure that we've received in Europe. I've done a lot of touring in recent times acoustically, but I do have an electric group as well, and I like to mix the two up because I think they both represent the two sides of Mike Peters, and I think that it's important to see that. I think initially when Rise is coming out and hitting the streets in America, I will be touring primarily acoustic for the first part while we're making people aware of the record. And also touring acoustically allows me the space to play a lot of songs. So I can play a lot of songs from the new era Mike Peters, but I also can play songs from the era of The Alarm and go into that in greater detail. And that I will say will definitely be the first phase. And because I enjoy that, I enjoy the interaction between the fans, and if people shout out for songs, because I'm there on my own, I can just respond to them, and the whole show takes on just a whole life all of its own for that one night, and it's never, the two shows are never the same. No two shows are the same. And then as the record progresses and songs start coming out and maybe people start hearing them on the radio and things like that, then I will be able to bring the band in and form an electric tour and play in some major cities right across America. And the group is I rehearse the group hard, and I make them learn all the current stuff, but I also make them learn a few special classics from from the Alarm era. And we've played a lot of songs from the catalogue over the years. We've played Spirit of 76. We've done obscure tracks like Pavilion Steps that maybe people in America might not know because it was only a B-side of Where We Hide in 1984. So I like to cover all the angles when I'm playing live, but at the same time I like to keep people guessing. So if you come see a Mike Peters show, you can certainly expect the unexpected. Yeah, on Rise is a great record to make because it wasn't a kind of like closure when the record was finished and I'd turned the last piece of tape and switched off the faders. There was still more to come because I'd started work with Billy Duffy from The Cult, and we'd met in the traditional way in Britain playing soccer, and then that had progressed to climbing in the mountains, and we became great friends during the summer preceding the making of Rise. And I was still working on a couple of songs for the album, and Billy was up at the house one night, and I said, "Look, I've got this track, will you help me finish it?" And I played him the opening sort of chord and verse, and he came up with a great guitar riff, and that was a track in Circles, which is on the album. It made the album, and I wanted to put the album on the song on the album because I felt really strongly about it. So I invited Billy down to the studio, and he came in and he played on White Noise, and he played on Burnout Syndrome, which is one of the closing tracks of the album. And the natural chemistry between us was pretty hard to ignore. And so we decided that as soon as the album was finished, Billy and I just said, let's go and write some songs together for an independent project, and we'll start a band. And so that will be my next project, is going to be a band with Mike Peters and Billy Duffy, featuring the songs of Mike Peters and Billy Duffy. And who knows, between us we've got a few classics to play. And I think we're looking forward to that. So here we are. We've got Rise, this album, but we're also being able to talk quite specifically about future projects as well, which is, as an artist, is a great thing to have. It's like you're at the beginning, and there's just massive wide open space in front of you to move into, and a huge white canvas to go and paint pictures on. And as a musician and a songwriter, you can't ask for more than that, because you're always looking for inspiration and looking for space to move into. And although the last, it's been difficult since I left The Alarm. It's never easy to leave a band and reinvent yourself and go right back to the very beginning and start again. It's a tough, hard road, but I've enjoyed the challenge of that. And I think in years to come, I'll look back and view the years that have led up to this point as being very important for me as an artist, and to have the ability to still be making records and to be able to see so much ahead of me, and that I can share with the fans and feed off musically, is it's great to be alive.